Peace and love, soul family, and welcome to my channel. My name is Eboni Q, and today I will be reading the introduction of a book that I love and adore. This will be my third time reading it through, but this time I wanted to read it to my soul family because it has some really good gems. It was one of probably the first quote unquote spiritual books that I read, and it was recommended to me by a sister, a good long-term sister of mine, who recommended this as I was venting to her about some issues that I was having at the time. And she was like, a college professor told them to read this book, and this book changed her life. And so she recommended this book to me. This was many, many years ago. And here today, I am reading it for the third time around. I have consistently quoted this book, consistently remembered different things, life lessons that I learned from this book. And so now I'm just really excited to share it with you all. So we're going to start off by reading the introduction today. The book is The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, and it is a practical guide to personal freedom. You can check this book out at your local library. If not, if you'd like to purchase your books, then you can go to a local bookstore. But if you like to purchase books online, you can click the link below in my description bar and purchase this book off of Amazon. And if you decide to go that route, just know that I will receive a small percentage, and every percentage will go back into our community. So with that being said, let's get started. So I'm going to get started with page 13 in the Roman numerals, the Toltec. Thousands of years ago, the Toltec were known throughout southern Mexico as women and men of knowledge. Anthropologists have spoken of the Toltec as a nation or a race, but in fact, the Toltec were scientists and artists who formed a society to explore and conserve the spiritual knowledge and practices of the ancient ones. They came together as the masters, or the Nawals, and students at Teotihuacan, the ancient city of pyramids outside of Mexico City, known as the place where man becomes God. Over the millennia, the Nawals were forced to conceal their ancestral wisdom and maintain its existence in obscurity. European conquest, coupled with rampant misuse of personal power by a few of the apprentices, made it necessary to shield the knowledge for those who were not prepared to use it wisely, or who might intentionally misuse it for personal gain. So the Nawals, the men and women of knowledge, of spiritual knowledge in this tradition, they had to conceal the knowledge. So, fortunately, the esoteric Toltec knowledge was embodied and passed on through generation by different lineages of Nawals. Though it remained veiled in secrecy for thousands of years, ancient prophecies foretold the coming of an age when it would be necessary to return the wisdom to the people. Now, Don Miguel Ruiz, a Nawal from the Eagle Knight lineage, has been guided to share with us the powerful teachings of the Toltec. Toltec knowledge arises from the same essential unity of truth as all of the sacred esoteric traditions found around the world. Though it is not a religion, it honors all the spiritual masters who have taught on the earth. While it does embrace spirit, it is most accurately described as a way of life, distinguished by the ready accessibility of happiness and love. And this is one thing that I really love about the ancient traditions. There was really no separation between your spiritual life and the life that you live. Like, it was all intertwined, because it had to do with your tradition. It had to do like with your everyday walk. Your spiritual life was supposed to help move you forward in your mundane everyday walk. So I really just find that beautiful. Also, when I've studied like the Dogon tribe of Burkina Faso and like all of these other shamanic or earth-based traditions, there really was no separation between your personal life and your emotional life and your physical life and your spiritual life. Chinese medicine as well. you know, the traditional Chinese medicine sees it the same way, Ayurveda. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the introduction. The introduction is called The Smoky Mirror. 3,000 years ago, there was a human just like you and me who lived near a city surrounded by mountains. The human was studying to become a medicine man, to learn the knowledge of his ancestors, but he didn't completely agree with everything he was learning. In his heart, he felt there must be something more. So one day, as he slept in a cave, he dreamed that he saw his own body sleeping. This is astral projecting, guys. He came out of the cave on the night of a new moon. The sky was clear and he could see millions of stars. Then something happened inside of him that transformed his life forever. He looked at his hands, he felt his body, and he heard his own voice say, "I am made of light. I am made of stars." So he looked at the stars again, and he realized that it's not the stars that create light, but rather light that creates the stars. Everything is made of light, he said, and the space in between isn't empty. And he knew that everything that existed and everything that exists is one living being, and that light is the messenger of life because it is alive and contains all information. I'm going to run that back. Because light is the messenger of life, because it is alive and contains all information. Then he realized that although he was made of stars, he was not those stars. I am in between the stars, he thought. So he called the stars the tonal, and the light between the stars the nawal. And he knew that what created the harmony and space between the two is life or intent. So he knew that what created the harmony and space between the stars and light was intent, intention, life force. So without life, the tonal and the nawal could not exist. Life is the force of the absolute, the supreme, the creator who creates everything. This is what he discovered. Everything in existence is a manifestation of the one living being we call God. Everything is God. And he came to the conclusion that human perception is merely light perceiving light. Because everything is God. I'm going to run that back. He came to the conclusion that human perception is merely light perceiving light. I was about to say experiencing light. I'm a little bit ahead of myself. So he also saw that matter is a mirror. Everything is a mirror that reflects light and creates images of that light. And the world of the illusion, the dream, is just like smoke, which doesn't allow us to see what we really are. So if we are light and matter is the mirror, and this is not in the book, I'm asking this, if we are light and matter is the mirror that reflects the light and creates images of that light, and the world of illusion, the dream, is just like smoke, which doesn't allow us to see what we really are, then truly we are light experiencing ourselves in this matter formed human body. And the world is the dream. So the real us is pure love and pure light. And this realization changed his life. Once he knew what he really was, he looked around at other humans and the rest of nature, and he was amazed at what he saw. He saw himself in everything, in every human, in every animal, in every tree, in the water, in the rain, in the clouds, and the earth. And he saw that life mixed the tonal and the nawal in different ways to create billions of manifestations of life. If you are still here, please make sure you subscribe and like this video. And if you are digging this, you're enjoying it, then and there's someone you feel could benefit from this, please share. Please share it with them. All right, so back to our regularly scheduled program. All right, so we're now on page 18 in Roman numerals. So in those few moments, he comprehended everything. He was very excited and his heart was filled with peace. He could hardly wait to tell his people what he had discovered. But there were no words to explain it. He tried to tell others, but they could not understand. They could see that he had changed, that something beautiful was radiating from his eyes and his voice. They noticed that he no longer had judgment about anything or anyone. He was no longer like anyone else. He could understand everyone very well, but no one could understand him. They believed that he was an incarnation of God. And he smiled when he heard this, and he said, "It is true. I am God, but you are also God. We are the same. You and I. We are images of light. We are God." But still, the people didn't understand him. He had discovered that he was a mirror for the rest of the people, a mirror in which he could see himself. Everyone is a mirror, he said. He saw himself in everyone, but no one saw him as themselves. That's that dream, that's that smoky mirror, that dream of the planet, when we can't recognize that we are reflections of one another, light reflecting light. And so he realized that everyone was dreaming, but without awareness, without knowing what they really are. They couldn't see him as themselves because there was a wall of fog or smoke between the mirrors. And that wall of fog was made by the interpretation of images of light, the dream of humans. Then he knew that he would soon forget all that he had learned. And he wanted to remember all the visions he had had. So he decided to call himself the smoky mirror, so that he would always know that matter is a mirror and the smoke in between is what keeps us from knowing what we are. He said, "I am the smoky mirror because I am looking at myself and all of you, but we don't recognize each other because of the smoke in between us. That smoke is the dream and the mirror is you, the dreamer." So that is the end of the introduction to the 4 agreements. I hope you have enjoyed this, and I affirm that even that starts to just spark remembrance within you, and that you will join me for the next read of chapter 1. See you next time.